got the director of the Crane Estate at the Trustees, Chris Moore, with us. Chris, thanks for joining us, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, this is one of those pieces of the North Shore that everybody knows. It just depends on how much time you've spent there and how long you wanted to wait into the line to get onto the beach. But give us a little historical understanding of Crane Estate and what your job sort of entitles also as well with the property, because I think a lot of people have exposure to Crane Estate, but they may not have gotten the tour, if you will, and the history.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of people, to your point, are super familiar with Crane. Crane is one of over 120 properties that the Trustees of Reservations steward and protect across the Commonwealth. So we're the largest land conservation organization in the Commonwealth. And, Crane is certainly a flagship and a very busy property. So my job as the director would be, as I guess maybe the title might imply, to kind of manage all the pieces of the puzzle and make sure our team is working together collaboratively to maintain and deliver all of the programming, as well as really. We have a fantastic team statewide across our stewardship, across our visitor services and engagement teams that really work to, facilitate the long-term vision and the maintenance of a property like Crane and, how that fits into the larger portfolio of the trustees. So. For anyone who's visiting Crane or hasn't visited and thinks it's just kind of the big house on the top of the hill, which I'm sure that's, a few people, it does have a really, really great history. So the house and Castle Hill and the grounds now comprise really kind of 1/3 of what we refer to as the Crane Estate. So when we talk about Crane, we're talking about Castle Hill, which is, the home and, a National Historic Landmark. We're talking about Crane Beach, which is a North Shore, destination for many. And then the lesser known, Crane Wildlife Refuge, or some might refer to as Choate Island. So the Crane Estate as a whole is about a little over 2,200 acres that we steward. So quite a bit that kind of goes into that. It's a bit smaller than it used to be. So the original property that the Cranes purchased was actually much larger than that. But, in terms of how the kind of house came to be, it was built by Richard Crane Jr., who many know or might know as Crane and Company. So, when you think Crane, you think toilets and bathroom fixtures and things like that. That wasn't always the case. The patriarch of the family, Richard Crane Sr., had an industrial plumbing company, and they were industrialist out of Chicago. So Richard Crane Jr., who built the Crane Estate with his wife, Florence, was kind of the driver in taking that shift from industrial plumbing to making bathroom and in-home luxury fixtures kind of a staple, which anyone who's visited the house is very well aware of by taking the tour. So, the Crane Estate was built as their summer home. So they lived majority of the time in Chicago. They also had a home in Jekyll Island and did quite a bit of traveling. So the Crane Estate was built as kind of their summer abode for, about 12 or 14 weeks. It wasn't a full-time residence.
And you're coming up on the centennial. So what year was this built?
So the house as it stands now at Castle Hill is actually the second home that was built kind of on that footprint. So anyone who visits Castle Hill might notice as you kind of drive in, you pass through the barn complex, which is sort of this Italianate terracotta roof, stucco siding that was built. So that Italianate style was really sort of how the original home was built. It turns out that's not a really great option for New England winter. So that house was built or torn down shortly kind of after it was built, and the house that exists now is coming up on its centennial. So it was finished in 1926, so we're a little under 2 years away from the centennial.
So you've got the Crane Estate that everybody can think of. You've got Crane's Beach, and then you also have the Wildlife Refuge, right? Which is out to Choate Island and the Essex River,
Correct.
Parker River, maybe too on the other side. So that, because you have that property, and then you also can connect. You do some events on that island too. You do I know as an Essex guy, you do the Choate Island Day every year. Can you do weddings on there?
I don't think we've ever done a wedding that
Okay.
was approved on
Right.
Short Island.
There's
I
a
can't-
few Essex people that have been married on there.
I can't speak to the long time history before my time, but no, largely, one of our, really large goals around all of the work that we do, not just at Crane, right, is accessibility and inclusivity and making sure everybody feels welcome. And, when we're talking about Crane Beach, we see a little over 350,000 visitors a year. Castle Hill is, knocking on the door of, close to, in the next couple of years, will probably be close to 100,000 people a year. So we're knocking on the door of combined visitation to close to 500,000. So there's a lot that kind of goes on, programming wise. So there's, our house tours, there's general grounds admission, there's obviously beach access. People love to go to the beach in the summer. But what a lot of people may not know is a lot of the other programming that we do. We run a pretty robust summer camp, Summer Quest in the summer at a few of our properties, 2 big North Shore properties, so Appleton Farms and Crane both run summer camps. But we have a full line of educational and recreational programming that runs year round. So our Crane Outdoors program, and then Crane Explorer, which is for kind of our more family-centric programming, has a wide variety of opportunities. So in the summer, we do quite a bit of kayaking with Crane Outdoors, and hiking in the fall and the winter. But I would say, hands down, probably the 2 favorites in the summer particularly are the Choate Island kayak and hike, where we actually circumnavigate the island and you get to go and do a guided hike all the way to the summit, which is really fun. But then we also have annually now Choate Island Day, which is usually in late September or October. And unless you're taking one of our guided kind of experiences over to the island, or you have your own boat and you're visiting, it's really kind of the only way to get on the island, in a heavily programmed kind of way. So it really is one of those events that it's one of my favorites. It's a real spirit of place event for us, but it's a real step back in time and a tip of the hat to everything that's happened on that island, from, the indigenous inhabitants many years ago to what the Crane family and the Choate family had done on the island over the years. So we set up a variety of different stations. You're learning about the ecology and the agroecology and the farming history on the island, the indigenous history on the island. It's really a fun event.
You talk about access to Choate, and being an Essex guy, we go to the backside of Cranes Beach by boat through the Essex River.
Sure.
That's kind of where the Essex people tie up. And if you're a Gloucester person and Winger Chic is a little too wild for you, you might come around the bend and go to the backside of Cranes too. But I actually, fun fact, a few friends will know the story already, but I actually swam from Canomo Point to the backside of Cranes Beach. It was dead low tide.
Yeah.
So I just had to do like 3 channels to get there. It was a few years ago.
Walk the rest.
And then walk the rest. So if anybody doesn't have a boat or a kayak, just know that you can show up to Canomo Point in the non-resident parking, please, and just swim there if you want to go experience it. Because we do have to talk about the parking restrictions at the beach. Like, what is going on? Since COVID, it's been like you have to book a time and show up, and give us the clarity. What's the direction on this?
So there's no parking restriction at Crane. So since the dawn of time, have been limited only by the number of spaces in the lot.
Right.
Right. So we can't, we're on a barrier beach, we're on conservation land, we can't expand the parking lot. And many people might know that, the town of Ipswich actually owns and operates part of the beach as well. So the town of Ipswich and the resident sticker program, very similar to Gloucester, has a small lot for Ipswich residents and access there. So during the pandemic, we did shift, as many beaches and public access did to time ticketing. We were talking earlier about, for generations and generations, waiting in line, right? And then the 3-mile line of cars on Argilla Road. So nothing, I think, was more frustrating for someone than sitting in a line for 2 hours, right? And then getting to the gate and finding out it's full, and then there's nowhere to go.
Yep.
So, we do have, during the pandemic, there were very real restrictions on, how many people could be anywhere. But since the pandemic has lifted, we have kept time ticketing for a couple of reasons. One being that, it really is a tremendous advantage in terms of being able to create more accessibility, because we can actually welcome more people to the property than we could, previously. You would wait in a 3-mile line of cars, and we'd fill up the lot, and then we'd have to shut the gate for 4 hours and just turn hundreds and hundreds of cars away.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a pretty horrible experience for many. Now what we're allowed to do is, or what we can do is, still fill the lot, but as cars are leaving, we can allow more cars to come in, and it creates a much better traffic flow. And it's also put us in good graces with all of the neighbors on Argilla Road that might want to maybe go to Market Basket or, run an errand on a Saturday in the summer.
And not wait in line, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think it's worked. I think everybody's doing it now, too. It just has become the new norm. I remember the days of driving from Beverly, just crossing your fingers, hoping that you could get in there. Or you have to go at, 8 in the morning or sometime very early, right?
Yeah. So we opened the gates at 8, so it wasn't uncommon the line would start a little after 6 in the morning. So
now you can just get a time ticket and you can make a day of it. And
we have a tremendous partnership with CADA. The Cape Ann Transit Authority runs the Ipswich Essex Explorer in the summer. So usually from about mid-June through Labor Day weekend. So on weekends and holidays in the summer, they run a pretty continuous loop from the MBTA station in downtown Ipswich. And there's a few stops. There's actually one in Essex, Wolf Hollow, but then also Crane Beach. So even if the beach was full, you can drive right into town, park at the MBTA lot, and just it's like satellite parking. You can shuttle right in. It's $2 for trustees members and $5 for non-members.
That's a fantastic option.
Yeah.
I know people were doing that in Manchester by the Sea, too, because you can take the MBTA, out of Boston.
Yeah, you could. It picks up the commuter rail. Yep.
Yeah, you can walk from the commuter rail to Singing Beach, and that's, been because they have limited parking at Singing Beach, too. It's really resident parking in the summer, it feels like. So 400,000 going on almost 500,000 people. This has taken a lot of resources, huh? I mean, just mowing the lawn there has got to be some dedicated resources, because the lawn is immaculate. I mean, you go to the concert series and it's, you just can't even experience that any other way, sort of looking down that whole row to the water. It's ridiculous, but give us a sense of the workload underneath you here as the director of Crane Estate, of how many people and...
Yeah, so I take zero credit for anything. I work with a fantastic team of really colleagues, not just at Crane, but across the entire organization. But at Crane alone, if we're talking about kind of what it takes, it's really kind of year round in terms of our programming and what we're doing. So even right now, we're gearing up for Christmas at Castle Hill. So we have dozens of volunteers decorating 30 rooms of the house right now for us to open, but it really is a tremendous kind of labor effort. So we have, obviously a team of year-round full-time and part-time staff, but we also have really at Crane from roughly April through October, November, we have about 200 seasonal staff. In different capacities. So obviously a big focus of that is beach, operations in the summer between lifeguards, rangers, parking attendants, things like that. But also our stewardship team. Our seasonal stewardship team is, can be 15, 20 people, in addition to our full-time crew. To your point of making sure that the grass gets cut, but they do much more than that. And then we also operate a 10-bedroom inn on the grounds as well. So we have a dedicated inn team that pretty much runs at almost 100% occupancy throughout the whole summer and fall.
Wow. What's your favorite Crane concert yourself? Like, are you like the Beatles revival band every year? Like, that's your go-to?
We've definitely had a couple changes, in terms of the lineup over the last couple of years, as schedules and stuff just haven't lined up. But yeah, I mean, Studio 2 has been a really that's been a force over the last couple of years. They're very popular, as well as Soul Rebel Project. I think the reggae concerts are also very, very well attended. I honestly enjoy all of them. I think it's really a tremendous opportunity. We have a really great partner, AMG, that helps with the concert series. And, as we've kind of changed the format a bit over the last couple of years to really make it accessible, make it family friendly, it's really just a fun event to watch people show up, regardless of who's playing, kick back and really just enjoy the property in a different way. And starting, a big part of what we do is inviting the next generation outside and to look out and see all the kids. As a father of a young daughter, it's really inspiring to kind of see those people getting connected with the work that we're doing in a different way.
Yeah, so our family goes to these, and I don't want to misrepresent it, because it was like $20 a car. Is it what is it per car? Because you can buy a per car pass to the actual concert, right?
Yeah, so the concert, I think that was a change that our event and engagement team made several years ago. So we're not doing per person, it's per car. So it's really, you figure most people are coming with 4 or 5 people. It's pretty affordable.
Yeah, you can really load up a car. Like, believe me, we've done it. Like, load up a car. You go there. There's some people that like are right in front, and they want to be able to have eyeballs right on the people singing. Our cup of tea is, we will walk like midway back. Yep. You know where the stairs go down?
Yeah, the casino. Yeah.
We'll set up back there. You can hear the music perfectly, almost the whole way down, all the way to the water. You can hear it. It just carries really like acoustically nicely. We set up back there. We bring literally our own dinner there. We make like a hangout circle of friends, and we're eating dinner and we're chit-chatting and we have live music. My boy will go down almost to the water, and he'll play football with his buddies down there. My daughter will run around and find her friends because everybody in town is there. And it's just like, it's a really unique social event.
It is.
And you can run into, dozens of friends there that you didn't even plan to go with, that aren't even in your circle, and they'll pop in and they'll say hi. And so if the beach isn't your thing, I mean, that is worth it for everybody. Like, there's a lot of places that don't have that access. And I think people are coming from far to go to this even.
Yeah.
It is like, check it out. The Crane concerts are really just a marquee summer event. It's every Thursday night. Unless it rains, right?
Yeah, well, we got 9 out of 10 in this summer.
Really good.
So, the one benefit, I guess, of no rain.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you also mentioned, I don't know when this is going to launch, but right after Thanksgiving, you guys are doing the sort of the Christmas house.
Yep.
People can come through and take the tour, see everything, 30 rooms plus,
Yeah.
Dolled up for the holidays. But there's always stuff going on. There's a little lull after the new year until the spring, I think. But all summer it's just jam-packed. It's always something going on over there. So, going forward, how can the team help you? I know there's the trustees, just the general membership. You can level that up to become a Crane member, right? To get access to the beach.
So there's no, this past summer, so we announced, I guess it's almost 2 years ago, in March, we announced, we had for a long time had the Crane Beach permit, the parking permit, which was kind of an add-on to membership. There was never necessarily like a Crane specific membership, but there was an opportunity to get a sticker to park in the beach lot, which we moved away from the permit program. This was the first summer since that. It was something that the demand is much greater than the size of the space, and trying to create accessibility and equity for everybody, it makes it really difficult for that program to kind of exist as it did for so long. But in terms of support, we are very grateful for all of our members across the entire state, and many that don't even live in Massachusetts, but just visit here or frequent here in the summer. But there's plenty of ways to get involved or help support the trustees every time you're visiting a trustee's property, every time you're purchasing something from one of our shops or one of our CSAs from one of our farms or any sort of opportunity. All of that money goes right back into us supporting the mission and working to protect these properties.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much programming. It's really ridiculous. I was trying to take a look through it to see even how big it was past Crane Estate. I mean, you've got like the Appleton Farm like preschool that you guys run there now, where kids can come. You have cooking classes at farms. This is like the trustees in general, not necessarily at the Crane Estate. There's full moon adventure like hikes.
Yep.
There's we obviously have the concert series. There's just so much that the trustees is doing. So that you can volunteer your time. If you don't have your money, you can volunteer your time to help out on things. There's 11 pages of volunteer opportunities with the trustees.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like tiny squares on this page. There must have been hundreds of opportunities for people to come out and volunteer. So if people are listening to this and you go and you walk one of these properties very frequently, or you go to the Crane Estate, it's like there's a lot of simple ways to even give back. Maybe it's a cleanup of a beach, maybe it's whatever. Check out the volunteer page. There's something definitely in your backyard, no matter where you are in Massachusetts, where you could help out and give back to the trustees.
Yeah.
It's unlimited. And there's no shortage of work to do, I'm sure.
No.
How else? Is there anything else that comes to mind that this community can help support you guys on? Is there an event coming up besides that we should talk about?
Yeah, I mean, Crane, as you said, we really kind of program throughout the year, but I mean, we have events that really run even when we're not busy at Crane, like where we just wrapped up the pumpkin season at Long Hill in Beverly. So that's, Halloween on the Hill is, we do it here in Beverly and then also out in Stockbridge at Namkeg. So that's really big. And then we're turning both of those properties, well, not Long Hill. We're working on Stevens Coolidge in North Andover, but winter lights get ready to start, so we run that through the winter, into the new year, so regardless of kind of where you are, throughout the Commonwealth, there's access to different things. And, where I'm a huge, obviously, believer in the work and supporter in the work we do. And that's, one of the things that, we just try to do is bring awareness to the work that we're doing. We want to be able to be there to provide these places and, protect them, and would just, encourage and invite everybody to, it doesn't have to be at Crane, but, if you haven't checked out the trustees and learn a little bit about what we do, we're, really kind of gearing up right now for a really, really exciting, year in 2025 with, a lot of programming and, really Castle Hill especially saw an unprecedented level of visitation this year. So we're really, really excited about, being able to step it up a notch for next year.
And if somebody wanted to do like a corporate event, could they rent space from the trustees? Yeah.
So we have, there's actually a really cool page on our website. If you go, there's a page that actually like chronicles all of the movies that have been shot at all trustees' properties across the state. Obviously, a lot of them, being on the North Shore, just because of size and things like that. But there's a pretty rich history of, kind of enterprise opportunities, whether you're, interested in, a wedding or a private event. Our Crane Outdoors program, and our Crane Outdoors manager, Matt McKenzie, he's phenomenal. He, really works with a lot of companies and private groups and things like that to curate like special experiences. So we do a lot of corporate retreats at our inn who, they might want to turn around and after a board meeting go on a guided kayak and hike trip with fire pits and like a catered dinner and all of that kind of stuff. So we really, try to kind of meet people where they are with regardless of what their, level of experience is for an event, whether it's kind of on the cultural side of things with a house tour or, some of the more rugged kind of adventurous opportunities. There's always something, to do. So we do have, certainly the opportunity to rent space or to, enjoy the property in that way as well.
This is kind of out of left field, but if somebody had property and they're it's kind of maybe a lot for them to manage, and they're listening to this and they're like, man, what am I going to do with this? I don't even want to give this to my kids. It might be a burden, right? It's so much. We pay so much in taxes to have this land. Can people just? What's the process? Could they donate it to the trustees? How does that work?
So we have a tremendous development department that handles things specifically like that. So certainly where accessible and available to contact with questions, we do have many lifelong donors, and there's a lot of opportunities and ways to consider donating to the trustees that don't necessarily involve visiting a property or becoming a member. So certainly that's an option.
Because you guys, I'm assuming that's kind of how you guys got Crane Estate. It's like, did the town take possession of it? Did the family just turn it over to the town, and then the town was like, we need the trustees to take it over? How did that? Because there could be, that was 100 years ago or plus, that's going to happen again at some point. And then 100 years from now, the trustees is going to have this property that we don't know of yet that you got donated to you by somebody that you manage. It's marquee, right?
Yeah, so we haven't stewarded and owned Castle Hill for the 100 years, but when Florence Crane, kind of passed away, the life estate went to the trustees, and the property was, kind of transitioned to our stewardship. But I guess part of the story that I might have left out of how it came to be when the trustees took ownership of the Crane estate, and if you've been in the house, there was nothing in the house. There was an estate sale. Everything was gone. So if you opened up the doors and windows and shook the house, everything that wasn't bolted down was not there. So our curatorial team has over, really the last, few decades curated and gotten a lot of that stuff back. So as the house sits now, it's a lot of the original pieces or replicas of the original, that existed. So it's really kind of been a labor of love over a number of years. And the house actually hasn't been, really a cultural interpretive site for its entirety of our ownership. So it's really in the more recent years that the house has kind of been opened to that.
Luckily, we have a rich antiquing culture on the North Shore. There's no shortage of antiques.
We definitely do. So there's a lot of considerations, and we work really, really well because a big part of stewarding and working, particularly with Crane Beach, around the long-term accessibility of Crane is done in partnership with the town of Ipswich, who was given part of the beach. And, for many, many years, so Richard Crane and Florence Crane had a son, Cornelius, and for one of his early birthdays, they had invited all of the children in Ipswich to the beach to have a birthday party, and that's how Crane Beach Day started.
Yeah, my wife's a teacher in Ipswich, and they walk there.
Yeah.
On that day.
Yeah, so now it's a tradition that started, 70 some years ago. That's still going strong every year. The transportation looks a little different now, so there's a lot of things, in terms of making the space accessible for everybody. And there's a lot of the original vision of the Crane family that lives on in perpetuity, which is exciting.
Yeah, I think that's the least we can do is give them their little parking space for Ipswich residents for all of the cars and traffic that we send through that town in the summer. It's like, you guys get this special spot. So, Chris, thank you for coming on here and telling this story about the Crane Estate and the trustees. The trustees is like, it's one of those not-for-profits that's just doing great work. Like,
Yep.
everyone has exposure to the trustees, and everyone gets 1,000 mail pieces if you don't just sign up to be a member. And like, it's like it feels so substantial to trustees, like it's never gonna go away. Like it's doing the right things, right? That it's preserving all these spaces for us to take advantage of, and we, as the people taking advantage of them, don't even really have to do anything. There's a lot being done, but we just get to take advantage of it, and that's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel spoiled when I think about the trustees. So you're doing it, man. Great work. Shout out to the team at the trustees. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for having me. And I would echo that. Shout out to the team at the trustees. They're pretty great.
Yeah, keep it up, bud. Thank you.
Great.